Now, a little bit of backstory. The Sabotuer is a subclass that I released on the Patreon, and it's also on the Ko-fi store as well. And it's all about dealing damage. It's the Saboteur, or a sapper, was like a World War I French military officer whose job was just to blow up tanks, blow things up and cause as much chaos and devastation as possible. And I wanted to capture that chaotic goblin-like energy of just blowing things up. And my first thought was Artificer, but I wanted to give the rogue some love, and I had this really good idea about tying the rogue's sneak attack damage to something else, some area of effect, and this is what I've came up with. So, mercenaries of the highest caliber, saboteurs pride themselves on the versatility to making things look like an accident, or making sure their presence is felt in the most bombastic fashion possible. Their genius intellect can only be matched by their thirst for explosions and the notoriety that comes with it. Mastering the clockwork blasters and how to effectively utilize them is the main focus of the Saboteur's profession. They're able to slip into any operation undetected and leave just as silently, or loud, depending on the job. When I was designing this, I had like a steampunk Eberron setting in my mind. I wanted to try and take something that was adaptable to most settings, but it was definitely Ankh-Morpork from Discworld, some sort of steampunk aesthetic. And I think I've done something pretty cool with it. Quick note, if you want to pick it up on the Patreon, that would be fantastic. Or if you want to buy any subclasses individually, check the Ko-fi link. But the Patreon has, I think, 7 subclasses up at the moment. I'm planning to hit 12 at least, try and get one for each base class. And then after that, we're going to be adding more continually in the new year. So at level 3, everything is a weapon. You gain proficiency in Tinkerer's tools, improvised weapons, and sleight of hand. Well, sleight of hand and Tinkerer's tools are pretty standard for most subclasses. Depending on which one you pick, there's always some skill and some form of tools. But improvised weapons, I wanted to try and show the chaotic nature of the subclass by, you can just grab anything at hand and use it as a club or use it as a stabby dagger or something like that. If you're already proficient in sleight of hand, then you may choose another proficiency. And I wanted to also use this time to tie the rogue's intelligence to the subclass. I know the Arcane Trickster already has this, but I wanted to give it some sort of wild creativity, and I think intelligence was more suitable than wisdom or charisma. So it's not very wise to make explosive devices, you know? So the Saboteur ability DC is 8 plus your prof bonus plus your intelligence modifier. And let's get on to the meat and potatoes of the whole operation, the blasters. These are just like little clockwork bombs that you can throw, and essentially you're dealing your sneak attack damage in a small blast radius area of effect. So the advantage of this is it naturally scales up as you're leveling up as well, so you're not worried about gaining a skill that you're going to find redundant when you hit level 10 or level 15. During a long rest, you may use your Tinkerer's tools to create a number of throwable devices equal to your proficiency bonus plus 1. The device is set off by a clockwork mechanism. You can use your action to throw the device at a location within 40 feet. I was tempted to tie it to like throwing ability or strength bonus, but I thought it was just cleaner and easier to give it a base standard 40 feet. That's quite farther than some spells, but it's not ridiculous. You can throw something the size of a large golf ball 40 feet quite easily, but trying to do it with precision as well will require high dexterity, something the rogue excels at. And here's the cool bit, you can put it on a timer. The device triggers within 1 minute, or when you use a bonus action to trigger it. So it's kind of reminiscent to some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4 villains. No spoilers, but yeah, if you like JoJo's, then check out this subclass. You can trigger any device you know of that is within 500 feet of you, but you can only trigger one device at a time. So that's supposed to be one every round, one every bonus action. Otherwise it would be ridiculous. When creating the devices, you may choose from the following options. Now, this is the cool part. I wanted to give shout out to other subclasses or other classes. Each of the different devices have another class's name in them. So for example, you have Wizard's Envy. The explosion is a 20-foot radius, and each creature caught in it must make a dex throw, and the target takes fire damage equal to your current sneak attack damage on a failed save, or half as much as on a successful one. So you've almost got like a mini fireball there, which, if I know people that like to play wizards, then they love fireballs. Who doesn't like a fireball? So drink responsibly, kids. The next option with the blasters is Bard's Delight. I wanted to give like a flashbang ability. Each creature within a... Oh, there's a spell mistake I'll need to edit out. Each creature in a 20-foot radius sphere must make a Constitution saving throw, or be both blinded and deafened for 1 minute. And you can save again and again, trying to get rid of this at the end of each turn. So yeah, it's non-lethal, but it's enough to stun the enemy, essentially. Not stun in the technical sense in D&D. That's going to come later in the subclass. The third option is Ranger's Calm. When you throw this and detonate it, there's a 20-foot sphere of fog, and it spreads around corners, it obscures the area, lasts for 1 minute, and when you craft these, you also get a set of goggles so you can see through fog, but other creatures cannot. It's not magical, so there are some technicalities and limitations to that. It's just standard, normal fog, or mist. Adding the goggles lets you have more utility when it comes to this, so you can throw the smoke bomb down and then disappear out the room like some Naruto ninja. I didn't watch Naruto, but I've been informed that there's lots of smoke bombs and running away with your arms behind your back. Now, let's move on to the level 9 ability, Wrench in the Works. You now gain advantage on any attacks against inanimate objects, and you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that is classed as a construct. Also, you can cast a Mending cantrip using the Tinkerer's tools as a spell focus. Now, this is not as powerful as the level 3 ability or the level 6 options, but I think it's got some great flavour. If you're a Sabotuer, you're going to be destroying inanimate objects. You're going to be destroying the environment around you. So having advantage on attack rolls when you're knocking down a door or trying to literally throw a wrench in the works is great flavour. And I thought I'd throw the Mending cantrip in there, as well, just because it's a cool cantrip. I don't think you're going to be using it in combat unless you're working with an artificer that has you have the familiar, mechanical familiar. Having Mending in a pinch can be helpful, especially if you're in like a nautical campaign, because you can repair the masts within reason and generally keep the ship up to date, up to shape. Now, at level 9, you gain access to Barbarian's Anger, which is another type of blaster. So when you take the long rest, you can create a new blaster that, just like a lot of the other ones, you make a dex saving throw for any creature within 20 feet of the explosion radius. And the target takes magical slashing damage, equal to your current sneak attack damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Now, this is a natural progression from Wizard's Envy, because a lot of creatures are going to be immune or resistant to fire, and the fact that this is slashing but it's magical damage allows you to hit a lot of higher level creatures with your sneak attack. And I think that this subclass is great for crowd control and area denial and map control as well. It's not designed to deal as much damage as possible to one creature. I think most people are going to be making like a mix of different things, so you've almost got a Batman utility belt of different bombs you can use in different situations. Next up, at level 13, you get Druid's Fear. You may create a new type of blaster, and this time it's a 25-foot radius, not 20 foot. And this green frog kind of starts filling the air. And instead of the regular fog that's just there to obscure vision, if the creature is standing in the fog at the start of the turn, they must succeed on a Constitutional saving throw or take damage equal to half your sneak attack dice. So this is going to be hanging around for 1 minute and it's going to deal continual damage. I was tempted to put the poisoned ability in there as well, but I decided against it because of balancing issues. I tried playing it when it was poisoning and dealing damage, and it was just racking up the damage a little bit too much. It kind of puts everything that was caught in the poison cloud at a really, really big disadvantage. On the other hand, it is level 13, so allowing really powerful abilities might have been an option. We'll see if there's a potential to get revised in the future. We'll see how this pans out though. And at level 17, you gain what is my favourite name for any ability in any subclass. Subtlety is for cowards. Once per long rest, you can cast Delayed Blast Fireball without material components, using your Tinkerer's tools as a focus. Now, Delayed Blast Fireball is a big step up, a big improvement from regular Fireball the wizard gets, and I think for level 17, it's great. Allowing you to essentially blow things up as much as possible. Limited this to once per long rest. I was tempted to put it with the proficiency bonus, but I thought that was just a little bit too powerful. You're almost rivaling the wizard for spell slots, and you have sneak attack, so I think that's a little bit unfair on the rest of the classes. Finally, at level 17, you also get to create a new type of blaster called Monk's Precision. Each creature within a 20-foot radius makes a con save, or they're stunned for 1 minute. Stunning Strike on a monk at level 5 is overpowered. Let's not beat around the bush, it is one of the most powerful abilities. It's almost outshining the rest of the monk's abilities. But we could talk about monks until the sun comes up, but maybe save that for another video. So yeah, stunning creatures within a 20-foot radius is pretty cool, if you ask me. I think for level 17, it's on par with the power. And here's the best part, it'll keep going again and again until they make the Constitution saving throw. So, that's the Sabotuer. I think it has great utility. It allows you to have like a Batman utility belt full of different types of explosive devices and non-explosive utility devices. And for a rogue, it's really on point. Now, you can pick this up over on my Patreon, linked down in the corner there. And yeah, tell me what you think. What do you think? Is it balanced? Is it overpowered? Mastering their clockwork blasters and how to effectively utilize them is the main focus of the Saboteur's profession. Ran out of breath there.